What if I told you over 130,000 bitcoins could be dumped into the market as soon as next month? This could potentially be one of the biggest black swan events in all of Bitcoin history. This goes back over 10 years ago where an exchange was found called Mt. GOX. Mt. GOX was actually born even before Bitcoin. All the way back in 2006, it was founded for the purpose of playing Magic the Gathering, which is a card game. And then eventually in 2010, after Bitcoin was born in 2009, was transferred into an exchange for trading Bitcoin. This is going to be very important and very relevant what's going on with Bitcoin currently, so make sure you watch the whole video and remember to like, subscribe down below and leave a comment as well. This story is super interesting and you have to pay attention to all of it. So we go back to 2006 where Mt. GOX was born. It was born for the purpose of trading a card game called Magic the Gathering. Fun fact about me, actually I used to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Back when I was in middle school and high school and actually qualified to the California Regional Championship for Yu-Gi-Oh! Somewhat related to Magic the Gathering, but I just want to throw that out there. You can make fun of me for being a nerd. Nerd! So the founder of Mt. GOX eventually decided to get into Bitcoin after Bitcoin was born in 2009 when Bitcoin was actually less than 10 cents. So this guy has been an OG into crypto for just so long. So then fast forward to 2010, he decided, hey, this whole Magic the Gathering just isn't that profitable. Let me use the name Mt. GOX and let me create a Bitcoin exchange, since at the time it was very difficult to buy or sell Bitcoin since nobody was doing it. Literally Bitcoin was barely a year old and the price of Bitcoin was only about $1. 6 months go by and Bitcoin is at its first ever bull run and Mt. GOX is doing better than ever. They have over 20,000 transactions a day and doing very well. So the owner, Jed, decided to sell it to someone else. Their name is Mark Karpelus. This is going to come in handy for later. So he decides to sell it. Let me get out of here while I'm ahead. Bitcoin is crazy. Could all dump. I made a bunch of money. Let me just sell this thing. Let me sell my Bitcoins and let me get out of there. Little did you know, Bitcoin will go to over $6,000 10 years later. So about another 6 months go by and Mt. GOX is doing what's got to do. Trading Bitcoin eventually enters into a bear market. This is where the first small issue happens with Mt. GOX. They reported over 25,000 Bitcoins were stolen at the time, which equated around $400,000. In today's money, that would equate to over $525 million. So the time is only $400,000, so just people didn't see it as a huge deal, but it was definitely a red flag. From 2012 to 2013, there was different issues that Mt. GOX had. Accidentally, transaction log forked, which caused the Bitcoin price to drop 25% in March of 2013 because they just couldn't keep up with all the transaction that was happening. It was a glitch in the system, or so they said. Then it suspended right after March happened. It suspended trading in April, which caused Bitcoin to crash another 50%. Keep in mind, at this time, 75% of all Bitcoin transactions were happening on this exchange. This exchange was by far the most popular exchange to buy, sell, or trade crypto. Then we fast forward to December 2013, where Mt. GOX seemed to be like, hey, they fixed all the issues they had that summer. Bitcoin is back to doing well. We're going to be breaking up over $1,000 for the first time ever in Bitcoin, and Mt. GOX is making the most money they ever had. But then the unthinkable just happened. It's amazing with a head smooth sailing. The company is doing amazing. Bitcoin is doing amazing. Things go south per usual with Bitcoin. By early February 2014, a lot of customers started experiencing very long delays on their withdrawals of Bitcoin, which of course raised some red flags. People were like, hey, I'm trying to withdraw my Bitcoin. Why is it taking so long to take this money out? Soon after, all these people start questioning what was going on. Mt. GOX said they had to temporarily shut down all withdrawals, just like I was saying now with Voyager or Celsius. So people couldn't take their money out, and they just claimed it was a temporary issue until they fixed their programs. Of course, people thought about back in 2013 that they had a similar issue that summer and they were able to fix it, so people didn't think too much of it. A few days go by and on February 10th, they say they had found some bugs in their withdrawals of their Bitcoin system, but they were quickly to be fixed. Then a couple of weeks go by and people start questioning, hey, you guys said this will be a quick fix. Why has nothing happened yet? Then on February 17th, the CEO of Mt. GOX at the time said, don't worry guys, we're going to be able to withdraw very, very soon, trying to calm down all the angry people. A couple of days after that, the CEO Mark of Mt. GOX was also sitting on the Bitcoin Foundation. He decided to step down from the Bitcoin Foundation, of course, making it seem the whole situation much more sketchy. He had just said that withdrawals will be able to be done soon and they were going to fix all their issues, but then 3 days later decides to step down from the Bitcoin Foundation. Then on February 24th, GOX came out with a statement that they had lost over 850,000 Bitcoins, which is overall in today's price 4% of the whole supply. And back then it was around 20% of the whole supply. And in today's money it will be around $18 billion. That's just an absurd amount of money. 4 days later, after this letter was sent out, GOX had to file for bankruptcy and claim they had lost 750,000 of customers' Bitcoins and 100,000 of their own Bitcoins. Now, do you remember that hack of the 25,000 Bitcoins back in 2011 years ago? Well, what had happened is that hacker was able to get the private key for GOX wallets, and having access to that key, they were able to access all those coins. Now, how that hacker got that key, nobody really knows, but they do think it could have been an inside job, as just the things were so sketchy back in the early days of Bitcoin, 2009 to 2018. It was just pretty much a wild west. Just now we're getting some stricter regulations. It's probably the least crazy time to be in crypto, because back then you see pumps and dumps of 50% every single day. Here's where things get a little more interesting. On March 20th, 2014, GOX claimed that they were able to find 200,000 of those 850,000 missing Bitcoins. Somebody knows, like, first you guys missed those Bitcoins and now you have 200,000 back. Fast forward to August of 2015, Mark Karpeles, the CEO of GOX and the gentleman that had bought it back in 2010, was arrested for fraud and embezzlement. It was found that he manipulated GOX and was able to steal over $2.6 million of users' funds for his personal use. And then years and years go by, and you know how legal process work. Nothing really got done, and pretty much the situation was very stale, and nobody really had any update what was going on with all those missing Bitcoins and this 200,000 Bitcoins that were eventually found. But finally, things unlocked in November of 2021, where the Tokyo District Court formalized an official rehabilitation plan. And this plan outlines the intent to repay creditors up to those 200,000 Bitcoins they were able to find. And this finally brings us to present day on July 6th, where creditors received an email regarding payments and where they finally get some, not all, of the money they had lost. Currently, GOX holds about 137,000 Bitcoins that will be given back to investors as soon as potentially next month in August. Now, this is both a good and a bad thing. Now, you may be thinking, wow, this is really good news. These creditors that lost money about 8 years before that are finally going to get paid back. There's a happy ending to the story. And yes, if you're a creditor, you're probably happy you're going to get some of the money back. You got to keep in mind the average of these Bitcoins were about $1,000 to $500. That means there was many people holding Bitcoin from $500 that just were able to not sell until now, which means they went from 500 to maybe even 1,000, all the way to what we're at today, which is around $20,000. So now the issue is that in August we might see a huge dump of 137,000 Bitcoins. And we already know Bitcoin is having a hard time gaining with higher interest rates, inflation, and just being in a bear market the last 6 months. Now, if we add an extra dump of 137,000 Bitcoins, which would equate around $3 billion on today's price, will that drive the price even further down? Personally, I don't think it's going to be as bad as it sounds. It definitely will be helping the price, but there's a few other factors to keep in place. For example, we have to keep in mind how many people from 8 years ago may still even have access when they finally get this Bitcoin back. Also, all those people that had those Bitcoin back then have been through so many bear and bull cycles that they've kind of seen it all. And nowadays, their investment actually looks like it was even smarter than what they did back then, as Bitcoin has gained popularity and has increased as a method of investment among the most people around the world. So now potentially they may just be saying, hey, Bitcoin was at 69,000 not too long ago. I felt for... And if they did believe in crypto, more than likely they had some other investments, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other altcoins, and maybe they've been making a lot of money ever since then. Also, the dump of $3 billion worth of Bitcoin overall just won't be much, as it is about just 0.04% of the overall supply, as currently we have over 19 million Bitcoins going around. Now, if they were to dump the 850,000 Bitcoins which was stolen, they would have been a complete different story. That would be about 4% of the overall supply of Bitcoin. Now, we're also going to have to see how the committee decides to unlock this Bitcoin. Will they pay all investors right away on the same day, or will they slowly start rolling out this Bitcoin so they don't crash the price temporarily? Now, this dump of 137,000 Bitcoin will be one of the biggest dumps, if it does happen, all on the same day that we've ever seen in history. Even the Luna Foundation Guard, when we saw that huge crash earlier in the year when Terra collapsed, only held about 80,000 Bitcoins, which would be just about 60% of the 137,000 Bitcoins that we saw. Also, the Luna Foundation Guard, in combination with the 3AC, wasn't just the importance of the selling and the dumping, but also the sentiment hitting huge companies like 3AC or Luna collapsing. I do believe the worst is behind us, and as cool as this story is, this main GOX that's been going on for since the beginning of Bitcoin really finally coming to an end, and this is a super interesting story. I don't think it's going to cause a much more of a crash into the Bitcoin price. Hope you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed the story. It was a lot of fun doing a lot of this research of pretty much the history of Bitcoin, and it really makes you appreciate how far Bitcoin has come from 2009, 2010 when it was born, to becoming the Wild West, to becoming just a mess, to what it is today, kind of seen as a good investment for most portfolios out there. Of course, Bitcoin is still not 100% accepted by everybody as an investment, but it's come such a long way from where we were just 5 to 8 years ago. As always, if you like more videos like this, you want to learn more about the stock market, crypto market, make sure you subscribe below, leave a comment and leave a like. And as always, peace.